Good morning. My name is Lorene. Welcome to Books at the Bottom of the Stairs. Today is Monday. I think it's called Dark Monday. It's supposed to be the time of year when we're all feeling really down in the dumps and kind of inert. But outside it's pretty sparkly. We've had a big blizzard go past and the sun is shining on the snow. It looks beautiful. The birds are rolling around having a wonderful time with the bird feeder. So are the squirrels. So I had planned to talk to you about Ragnorak, a book that had been on my talk about list for ages. My book club that I've been going to for about 15 years had chosen this book, and I wasn't loving it. However, I waited until we had a book club talk before I decided what to do about it. The book club more or less decided you could not read it as a novel. There really did not have enough character or plot points at all. The main character was a thin girl who was a thin character. It just did not absolutely work as a novel. However, if you like Norse myths, then that is definitely the book to read. If you do not like Norse myths, like me, I mean, I've read them, I've enjoyed them, but I only can do it a couple of times before I done. So I decided I don't have to spend the time talking about it. Today's book is written by Tim Wynne-Jones. Tim Wynne-Jones is a Canadian author. He's been publishing for a long time. And the book that we're talking about today, the Starlight Claim, won the Governor-General Award for this past year. The Governor-General Award is a Canadian award that's rock solid. If you're looking for good recommendations for authors or books, then that is a great resource to go to. I first encountered Tim Wynne-Jones back when we had little kids and we were looking for bedtime books. We came across Zoom Away. Zoom is a cat and has a friend, Maria, and they end up going on an adventure. The best kind of adventures, as you will discover in this family anyhow, include a boat with sails. So they have some fairly fun adventures. It's a very small, light book, but the illustrations really help to carry the storyline. And the second book, also by Tim Wynne-Jones, they were both illustrated by Eric Beddoes, and his illustrations really are delightful. Zoom at Sea. Both these books were what set my daughter on her path to either piracy or being a sailor. Either choice was going to be a good one as far as she was concerned, as long as it involved a boat with sails. So thank you, Tim Wynne-Jones. You've helped launch her career as a sailor and a maritime historian. The book we're talking about, The Starlight Claim, was one I just came across on the shelves in the library. Quite often what they do is they've got little sections pulled out, and so this, I think it was January, had adventures, and so Tim Wynne-Jones saw it, grabbed it. This book is in the tradition of Canadian man versus nature. However, in this case, it's boy versus blizzard, because eventually a blizzard does show up. Okay, what's the plot about? Main character is Nate. The secondary main character is a dead boy called Dodge. And things that happen off book are that Dodge had gone up to the camp where both families, Nate's family and Dodge's family, each have cabins. Nate's cabins, log woods, minimal amount of space, there for survival kinds of lifestyle. Dodge's more like a lodge. It has lots of luxuries, lots of expensive equipment, power tools, skidoos, you name it. So the two families are managing to work copacetically up in the north. They go there for vacations, and from the equipment that you see in the camp, you can already get a sense of what the different families value and protect, I guess you could say. So Dodge, off book, had gone to a trip with his dad and his younger brother to bring a fridge to their lodge, and they decided to go when the weather was poor. The boat was too small for that kind of a load, and it capsized and all were lost. Nate had been invited to go on this boat trip, and he had decided no. He knew that the weather would be poorly, he knew it wasn't a good set of choices, and he just decided to stay home. He has survival guilt issues. If he had gone along, would they have drowned? Would he have talked them out of it? These are things that are going through his mind, and he's dealing with grief, the grief of his summer best friend. Okay, so that's sort of the backstory. The main plot is that Dodge and Nate had determined that in March of their 16th year, they would go up to the cabins during March break. And they would have, without any adults, they would just have a sort of survivalist kind of a few days up there. I have a little quibble with that point, but I'll get back to it. So since Dodge is dead, and Nate is feeling all this guilt and remorse about this death, he's a bit ambivalent about going up on his own. So another buddy decides that they're going to go together, and then at the last minute the other buddy backs out. So Nate's going on his own. It's the first lie that he's told to his parents. They think he's going with a friend. They're fine with it. They completely trust Nate and his abilities to manage the situation. What's happening simultaneously is that there's a prison outbreak in maximum security, just off stage, and the men have a helicopter come in. It lands with ropes coming down. The two convicts grab on the ropes. Helicopter goes up and away and lands the convicts at Nate's cabin. Then, bizarrely, Nate's grandfather, whom they haven't seen for basically Nate's entire childhood, is part of this escape plot. He's being recruited to find a safe house, and he's been lurking in the background unbeknownst to anybody, and he knows where this cabin in the woods is. It's a great choice. Although, if I was a recently released convict, I would have chosen the lodge where all the luxury goods are, but that's my little quibble. The other part is that Nate's grandfather has been kind of lurking in the background in both the cabin area, watching what's going on in both families, and he's been paying attention to what's been happening to Nate's family back in the city. So, a bit creepy. The grandfather is not a nice character and has served time. Not that, you don't have to be a bad, nasty person to be in prison, but that's certainly his character outline. This book has a few problems with it plot-wise, but if you're a reluctant reader or new to the adventure genre for, say, grade 5 to grade 10-ish, depending on how sophisticated the reader is, I think you would overlook these plot quibbles. The characters are very strong, each in their own way. They don't have a whole lot of growth. Nate is still dealing with guilt right up until the end of the storyline, although it is becoming more and more resolved. But what I love about Tim Wynne-Jones is his writing style. He often, in the young books for young people and young adults, and those are fairly straight-ahead plot lines. The ones he's written for adults, more complex plot lines, but ultimately you read Tim Wynne-Jones for his writing. I'm going to read you a passage of just exquisite writing. Towering rock and endless marching troops of trees, interrupted by glimpses of a pure white fastness, a sleeping lake, a river, the boreal forest made out of chaos and old night. It was a line from some writer his father liked. Endless tracts of bush and ragged jutting granite, the Precambrian shield, the oldest mountain range in the world, worn down over millennia, glistening with snow melt that had frozen into sheets of ice, blinding in the high, bright sun. That's the kind of writing that he introduces between plot points and dialogues, and it's just so lovely. He paints such an exquisite picture of what's going on around. Oh, nap time's over. Anyhow, I really recommend this book. Goodreads had an average of about 3.5 stars for it. The reviewers had picked up on some of the points that I had. I think that we all uniformly agreed that Nate was never in any real serious danger, because it's a book that's only got a few pages left before you get to the last page, so you know it's got to end well. But he's just never really in any serious danger, so I don't have that kind of tension. And I feel his grief, but at the same time, he's aware that Dodge was a flawed character, and the whole family that Dodge belonged to was a really flawed family. So his grief is somewhat modified by knowing that they are the authors of their own demise, which is not to say that you shouldn't grieve because people foolishly chose their demise, but you know what I'm saying. It's a little bit like, well, yeah, I guess that was inevitable. Maybe I'm just a hard ass. Anyhow, I strongly recommend this. I think it's just a lovely book, and you can't go wrong with Tim Wynne-Jones. And if you're looking for other Canadian authors, do check out the Governor General's Award. So have a good morning. Hope to see you again. Bye-bye.